Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 41 of the In From Japan podcast, the podcast where we talk about the latest news on Japan-developed games and other things in relation to them, available on Spotify, Podbean, and YouTube. As always, I'm your host, Erroll Moss, and with me is my co-host, Jason Corder.
Hey.
And we're going to get it start like we always do by talking about the Japan-developed, or I guess sometimes Japan-inspired games we've been playing this week. And so I'll start, and I have been playing a bit more Genshin Impact. Just doing dailies. Did that, like the first boss, like I fought the dragon that you have to get to. And that was fun. Although I was kind of surprised that it did the, you had to do the shooter thing again for the first phase of the boss.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they're doing this again. But then after, the second phase was really fun because you had to, you had to dodge his attacks and stuff. And he did like a bunch of different wind storm moves and stuff. And then he did this thing where the platforms, I forgot what the attack was called, but he did a thing where like because you're jumping around, he's in the middle, and he's surrounded by a bunch of separated platforms, and he'll do an attack where like 3 of the platforms are like cracked, they'll break when he goes through them. So you have to utilize like the wind boosters and gliding, and get away from those while you're fighting him. So I really like that mechanic for a boss fight.
Okay, is this kind of where you have a rejuvenated interest in the game, or are you still kind of so-so on Genshin Impact? I'm still kind of so-so, just because sometimes it can take so long to get to the next like part of the story. Like, because after I finish that part, I'm inventor rank 19, and it's like, oh, to get to the next part of this story quest line, you have to get to adventure rank 23, and that's going to take a while. Yeah.
But, I still try to do my daily commissions every day, because it's just a good way to wind down the day, because they're not really all that hard.
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
What do you think of the story so far?
I think it's pretty standard. Standard JRPG fare. It's not like nothing really stands out to me.
All right.
It's just kind of like, oh, there are dragons and gods, and there's this group of people that are corrupted because of this, and this group of mages that's messing everything up, and I'm just like, okay, well, like none of this is like new. Like this sounds like any good old JRPG, I don't know.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I also tried the Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory demo today. I tried it on Switch though, because for some reason my PlayStation 4 every week and a half it decides it doesn't want to get internet anymore. Or barely gets internet, so I couldn't play the PS4 version, so I just played it on Switch. It's fine. Like, I like it. I need to play it a bit more. Even beginner is a little more difficult than I expected, because like, it's a rhythm game, but it's still kind of like a not a platformer, like an action game kind of, because you still have to dodge attacks, and like there are certain actions you have to do. It's interesting. I don't really have that much more to say about it.
It's kind of like them marrying the gameplay of Kingdom Hearts with a rhythm-based action game.
Yeah, rhythm. Yeah.
It's not like theater rhythm completely, right?
Well, it's. I think it has some of the same developers, and it's funny because on the loading screen, they have Sora, Donald, and Goofy in that style. So it's like, well, it's clearly based on that series.
Yeah.
Partially. And also, I imported Yokai Watch 4 plus for PS4. So I barely started it because, I can't read Japanese. But I know how the basic controls work because that introduction was really easy. I haven't done a battle yet,
Yeah.
But I figure that it probably shouldn't be too hard to figure out.
Okay. Do you think... do you think it's worth it to import a game that text-heavy? Because I'm assuming it's...
Well, Yokai Watch is meant... Well, the thing... Yokai Watch is meant for younger kids.
Yeah.
So it should be pretty understandable. Not only that, but there are guides on like YouTube and on the internet and stuff.
Well,
so it's definitely not impossible.
Well, you're much more willing to go through all of that than I am.
I mean, I wish it had an English version, like a Southeast Asian English version, like the upcoming Kamen Rider game, but or an upcoming English version, which is up in the air right now, and we'll talk about that more later. But yeah.
All right.
What about you?
I've kind of been all over the place this past week. I played a bit more of Chrono Trigger. I think I'm in kind of the dilapidated future where you're supposed to meet your robot party member. That's where I left off.
You already have. I don't know about Chrono Trigger because I haven't played it yet, but I have it. But do you already have Frog?
I had Frog when I journeyed to the past, but he left my party at the end of that storyline. But I'm assuming he'll be back because he's in a lot of the promo material or the trailers or the story cutscenes. What
stands out because he is Frog.
Yeah. So I'm sure I'll run into him again. It's a lot quicker than I remembered it because the last few attempts at Chrono Trigger I kind of struggled to get to this point, but it was fairly quick. I want to say within 5 hours or so it feels like. So I'm kind of happy that it's progressing nicely.
Well, no, I guess not, because Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6 all take a while.
Yeah. They take a long while.
Like, I'm thinking of, like, Chrono Trigger was originally a Super Nintendo game, so it probably doesn't take as long as, like, some newer stuff. It's no Persona 5 Royal.
No,
I'm sure.
It's pretty streamlined. They know what they have. You're the protagonist. You have to save the day. They don't really fuss about with too many explanations or long explainers for the combat or mechanics. It's just you get what you get and you understand what you get. Just have fun, and so far it's been enjoyable. And which is pretty neat. I just realized that they have branching story lines, which I knew, of course, but kind of seeing it in action for a Super Nintendo game is kind of neat because it boggles my mind that they had the space to put that on the cartridge. So kind of neat. Furthermore, I've played a bit more of Tales of Crestoria. I finally have my starter 3, which is Misela, Kanata, and Vicious. And I'm finally back to where I left off on my previous phone. I like the game. I don't like that it overheats my phone. Not to the point of my phone saying danger, I'm going to explode in 5 minutes, but it kind of gets uncomfortably hot after a little while and
probably drains the battery quite a bit too.
Yeah, it's very battery intensive. So I'm gonna probably toggle the performance a bit and see if I can get a bit more mileage out of it. But it's fun. If you have nothing else to play and you want a time waster-esque turn-based RPG on your phone, there's Tales of Crestoria. The story is also neat, as we've discussed before, so you might enjoy it as well. Next up, I've also been playing a bit more of Atelier Ryza. I kind of finally found my groove within the game. There's no world-ending calamity on the horizon. It's kind of like Kiki's Delivery Service. It's very slice of life. It's very okay. This is about character growth. It's about people just living their lives. It doesn't always have to be a big confrontational battle with a demigod or what have you. It can just be overcoming life's obstacles that can also be fulfilling. And so far it's still pretty fun and very delightful and calming. And on a lesser note, I also got Robotics notes, or robotic notes. I swear that pun was unintentional, but robotic notes elite, I think that's correct. That's
by like the Steins Gate people, right?
Yeah, it's by the same group that does Steins Gate and Chaos Child, if I'm not mistaken.
Chaos Head. Oh, well, Chaos Child is the later one,
I just started it. I can't really say much about it. It's the first one, not the second one, which is Dash, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm barely an hour in, and I can tell you that the opening is very slow. Which might be understandable because it's a what do you call it again? A visual novel. So maybe that's why, but keep that in mind if you're willing to dive into it. You might have a bit more time needed just to get warmed up into things. But yeah, I'll let you know how that progresses next week.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the J-list, where we talk about recent video game related entertainment news, we got the official Monster Hunter movie trailer. Well, we got two. We got the national trailer and the international trailer. And there was some, as it goes, the international trailer had a bit more footage.
How much did you hate it?
But what did you think?
I can't say much. It's a Paul W.S. Anderson movie, starring Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
It can go so many ways.
Hey, well, here were my thoughts. The monsters looked fine.
Yeah.
We didn't see that much of the weapons. I have a friend who said he thought the weapons looked really bad.
Listen,
and I'm like, I can't really tell either way.
They're fantasy weapons brought to real life. Something's not gonna translate well. It happens.
They got the dual blade mechanics right,
yeah.
But and then you got to remember, they're supposedly palicos in this movie as well, but they didn't show those in the trailer. I think that could really make or break.
I think they want to keep it as
depending
a
on how they look.
I did read on Twitter today. I think it was Casey DeFreitas that had some behind the scenes info that the Palico chef will make an appearance. So there's that to look forward to.
So we'll see how he looks. Hopefully they take a more Detective Pikachu-like approach rather than a Sonic the Hedgehog original design approach.
Yeah, we'll see soon enough.
Yeah. And remember, now you can rent out a whole AMC theater to watch that for $99. Although I don't think anybody's gonna do that.
I do want to mention that T.I. was sporting a bolt-action sniper rifle or a rifle in the trailer, which I don't know who it was on Twitter that said like that doesn't happen in the military. You wouldn't be carrying that if you were on a scouting mission or on a reconnaissance mission.
Oops.
Or would it be a rescue mission? I don't know, but you definitely wouldn't be sporting that. And also, I think he used the wrong eye to look through the viewfinder. So
Oops.
You know, good signs.
I think this is going to be a fun movie that you're not supposed to take seriously at all.
I mean, you don't have to take it seriously, but at least adhere to the conventional laws of physics and logic. Yeah. That's all we ask.
I guess so. Yeah. And then one more quick story on the J-list is the Final Fantasy 15 Official Works Limited Edition costs $200. This is by Jenny Latta for Silicon Era. There's another update on the Final Fantasy 15 Official Works English version, and it's a positive one. The collection has been around in Japanese and French for a while, with it making its debut in Japan back in March 2018. Now it has a March 9th, 2021 release date for the North American version. In addition, the product page for the $200 Final Fantasy 15 Official Works Limited Edition is live. The standard version of this collection is $39.99 for the hardcover 208-page book. It is filled with concept art, in-development notes, lore, and details from the developers about the game. There's also plenty of artwork of Noctis, Gladiolus, Ignis, and Prompto throughout. The limited edition is a little more elaborate and includes extra elements. The hardcover copy of the book is there, only with a different cover and binding. You have a replica of Noctis and Lunafreya's lover's notebook. This is apparently an empty journal. Finally, there is a Final Fantasy 15 acrylic art panel included to display vertically. Everything is packed in a collector's case with art of Noctis and Lunafreya.
Alright, thoughts on this?
I mean, man, it took a really long time to... I haven't played anything Final Fantasy 15 related since the game came out.
I mean, it's relatively quick. The official works for the other games 1 through 14, they have been released like starting 5 years ago or something.
One of the 14 ones recently came out pretty fast, the Shadowbringers one.
Yeah, so I'm guessing it takes a while to collect behind the scenes info
and translate all of it.
Translate all of it. So it takes some time. So I wouldn't fault them for that. And this is more for something.
No, I'm just saying, like, wow. I don't know if I feel like only the biggest fans of 15 are gonna buy this thing.
Only the biggest fans buy the Ultimania books, so.
The limited edition, at least.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, there are collectors who will go for this. I briefly considered it. Then I remembered, hey, you're not in the U.S. It's gonna cost a lot more premium than that $200. So maybe don't. If Square Enix would like to send me it to review it, that'd be more than welcome.
Yeah. Dear Square Enix, you can always send us any of your art books or game codes, and we will gladly talk about them.
I have a U.S. address. Don't worry about that. I can ship it myself.
So do I. Well, I'm actually in the U.S., but
but I'm probably gonna get the standard version. I am interested in reading the behind the scenes notes, like what made them pivot from Stella to Lunafreya. Why did the story go from a darker mafia-based revenge story to a royalty-based revenge story? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It'd be neat. It'd be neat for collectors. And I'm looking forward to it.
Like, I have a whole, like, Amazon wish list of, like, art books and official works, and the only one I've gotten from it is, like, the Monster Hunter World one. Mm-hmm. I thought about getting the upcoming Monster Hunter Illustrations 3, but then I realized that was only Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate.
Yeah.
And Monster Hunter Cross / Monster Hunter Generations has its own book.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh.
I actually have it in my possession, the Ultimania book for Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9. I borrowed it from a friend.
And never gave it back.
It's a really thick boy, and it's filled to the brim with goodies. So anyone
I'm really
interested
excited.
in
I
those,
really hope they do not Square Enix, but Monster Hunter World Iceborne one soon enough. Especially since the final DLC already released and all that.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to recommended content, the content other than news from the past week listed out. I actually put a paste bin in the description now, just because it makes it a lot easier, and it'll have and list out all the links. We have Yakuza Like a Dragon Xbox Series X 4K gameplay, karaoke, and combat by our good buddy Michael Hyam over at GameSpot. Xbox Series X final preview, performance, storage, SSDs, UI, and more, also by our good buddy Michael Hyam at GameSpot. He's doing a lot of great work. Yakuza Like a Dragon interview, Scott Strichart on JRPG's puns and ambitious localization by Graham Russell over at Silicon Era. Dark Clouds Ahead, a Level 5 retrospective, parts 1, 2, and 3 by me for Parallax Media because of the Level 5 news that we'll talk about as our main topic in a little bit. How to Get into Video Game Localization, JAT Project 2020 by Jennifer O'Donnell and Wesley O'Donnell at JN Translations. This was a thing that popped up on Twitter that I just thought was really fascinating.
Okay.
Genshin Impact Side Characters Are Almost Too Good by Patricia Hernandez over at Polygon. Is Cloud Gaming Bad for the Environment by Nicole Carpenter over at Polygon. Ni no Kuni Cross Worlds Gameplay, IGN via YouTube. Interview Monster Hunter producer, director, reflect on Monster Hunter World by Kazuma Hashimoto over at Silicon Era. Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory preview, Timing is Key by friend of the show Cameron Hawkins over at DualShockers. PlayStation Vita Imports Guide, What You Need to Know by Graham Russell at Michibiku. 2019 Skies of Arcadia interview by Smupulations over at their site. It's a recently translated interview from last year, since we talked about Skies of Arcadia again on the last podcast. And Can Great Science Fiction Map a Positive Future by Tasha Robinson over at Polygon.
Really quickly, I want to add that Heather Alexandria. Heather Alexandria.
Oh, right.
She did she's starting a fan novelization of Skies of Arcadia. So if you want to look her up on Twitter, give that a read. That'd be great.
Well, it's not. I mean, she's still working on it, but
yeah, she's still working on it. She just started on it. I think she has like a preview of the first chapter up on her website.
Oh, I'll have to check that out. I didn't realize that. Okay. So now it's time for the news rundown, and we're gonna start with the baddish news. So I'll let the Shinigami take it away. And also, one piece of news is not here because it's the main topic.
We'll get to it,
just so our audience doesn't get confused.
Yeah. Okay. Bankai. So first up is Digimon Survive delayed to 2021. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu.
It never gets any easier.
Come.
It never gets any easier.
Publisher Bandai Namco and developer Witchcraft? That's a neat name. Have delayed Digimon Survive from its previously planned 2020 release window to 2021. It will be available for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC via Steam. Here's a message from Digimon Survive producer Kazumasa Habu on the delay. The Digimon Survive team would like to extend our thanks to fans from around the world for their support during development, especially in these difficult times. We had originally planned to launch Digimon Survive in 2020, but current world events have shifted our development timing, and we have made the difficult decision to push Digimon Survive's launch to 2021. We thank you all for your continued patience as we work to create a fun and engaging tactical RPG game along with a memorable story for Digimon fans. We will share some exciting updates for Digimon Survive in spring 2021, so please stay tuned for more information. Thoughts, cries, lamentations.
This was bound to, since we hadn't heard any news about it for a while, it was bound to be like, oh, it's probably delayed because of the pandemic. And lo and behold, there you go.
It's unfortunate, and I think this is the second big delay this game has had, because it was originally slated for end of 2019, if I'm not mistaken. 19. Yeah, and then it got moved to 2020, and then we haven't heard from it all year until now. So it's a bummer, but it's unavoidable, and I hope they're doing well, and I wish them well in these coming months, because Digimon is good, Digimon is fun, If you're hankering for any Digimon content, watch Digimon Adventure on Crunchyroll or Funimation,
I think I mentioned last podcast I watched Last Evolution Kizuna.
Yeah.
Got me right in the feels. That's a good one.
So I keep hearing. I still have to watch it, but I think I'm gonna do Try first and then head into Kizuna. Did you watch Try? Oh. All right. Next up.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah. PlayStation Store may remove buy option for PS3, PSP, and Vita content. This is by Josh Tolentino for Silicon Era. Also, I want to quickly update that it's no longer a may, it's a definite will, because I just had the email from PlayStation in my inbox confirming that they will be removing the option to buy PS3, PSP, and Vita games or other content directly from their website or mobile application. If you want to buy any content for these devices, you're gonna have to access said devices. So if you want to buy a PS3 game or a PS2 compatible game on PS3, you're gonna have to access the PlayStation Store from the PS3. Same goes for PSP or Vita content. So yeah, it's a bummer because on the one hand, it's them cleaning up the PlayStation Store to be a lot more accessible for current content, because a thing you keep hearing is that the discoverability of games on the PlayStation Store is kind of bad. So on the one hand, this is good. On the other hand, it's kind of a bummer that you no longer have quick access to these games. You're gonna have to kind of fiddle with older systems. Hopefully they still work.
So I've kind of noticed that like every 2 generations it's usually something gets old enough, like if you're not counting the Vita, because the Vita is a special case, but like, you know, they're the PS3, like they stopped making PS2s right before the PS4 was announced. You know, they're removing the buy option for the PS3 as the PS5 is about to come out.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
The current president of PlayStation, what's his name again? Jim Ryan.
If that's the president, I'm not sure.
I think it's Jim Ryan. Wasn't he the one that said, why would people want to have backwards compatibility? So I kind of think this fits that ethos, that why
would people want to have backwards compatibility? I mean, it's not like we did it on the PS2 and the PS3 or anything.
To some extent. I think the numbers aren't there to say that backwards compatibility is a smashing success. It's a good thing to have, and it's a good way to attract older players for sure. But for newer players, it might not be that exciting unless it's someone that's interested in preservation or revisiting the history that built this industry. So yeah, it's kind of a 50-50 thing for me. On the one hand, I'm glad they're organizing their store, and on the other hand, I'm bummed that I no longer have quick access to these games. So yeah. Final bad-ish news of the week. Poll suggests many Japanese users are not Come again?
Technically no, but for this section, yes.
Yeah, I said for the bad-ish news, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
Poll suggests many Japanese users are not fond of PS5 cross-confirm button. This is by Kite Stenbuck for Silicon Era. We have previously learned that the PS5 will have globally unified layout where the X button or cross button will be used to confirm selections. This will also apply even in Japan, a country where the players are used to the rightmost button to confirm things, such as the A button on Nintendo consoles and the O button on prior PlayStation consoles. Inside Games held a poll asking Japanese players whether they have any objection to this unified layout. There were 3 options offered in the poll. Agree, I have no problem with it as long as I can change it with a local setting, and I disagree. After the poll closed with 1,047 votes counted, Inside Games found out that only 254 voters, which is about 25%, are in favor of the unified button layout. 31% went to the middle compromise button, while there are almost 45% that opposed it and prefer the O button confirmation. You can click on the article for more info on this issue. And I just have to say, what were they expecting? It's a cultural thing in Japan where the cross sign means no and the O sign means yes. You just can't be assuming that they'd be willing to change their whole culture in a matter of a few months. No.
Especially because I'm surprised they didn't change it. Like, they didn't just keep it standard the other way.
So I think it was either Kind of Funny Gamescast or Games Daily yesterday, the day before that, where they discussed this, and they said it's probably kind of to have a more uniform development across all the games. They don't really have to factor in that they have to switch 2 buttons for their games in another territory, which might lead to longer development time or localization times for something that they probably think it shouldn't be there. I don't know. It's a kind of, I don't want to downplay it and say it's not really that important, but on the other hand, I also don't want to say that there's no reason behind not wanting to have it, if that makes any sense. It's a touchy subject for people from that region for sure, but if it helps development, and I'm assuming that people can adapt to this fairly quickly, then it'll be all right in the future. So there's that. All right.
So, in other news, Make Rockman will be released in Japan on November 5th, 2020. This was the Mega Man programming ARM thing we talked about, I want to say a week or two ago. Gakken announced that it will release the Make Rockman programming education book in Japan on November 5th, 2020. The Japanese press release also confirmed that the Mega Buster shaped customizable robot kit will be released on the same day. And it's just the stuff about programming it, and it'll be with all other early discounts already sold out, the only available tier right now is the 22,000 yen tier, which cuts off 550 yen off the retail price. Crowdfunding campaign will remain open until October 20th, 2020. We don't know if this will be made available outside of Japan. And it doesn't seem like the book can be directly shipped outside of Japan for the time being.
Yeah. Oh.
But it's just an interesting thing. It's going to be interesting to see if Capcom and Gakken release this kind of thing internationally. Or if we get like a similar thing with a different video game character or something.
It's possible
in the future.
But I still think it's kind of too much of a novelty to mass produce for international audiences. So we'll see. Next up, we have CyberConnect 2 opens CC2 store international selling .hack merchandise. This is by Guide Stenbuck for Silicon Era. CyberConnect 2 has opened its own online store website named CC2 Store International. The store contains merchandise from the .hack series as well as CyberConnect 2's own IPs. International shipping is also supported by the store, so yay for me, I guess. The main highlight in the store goes to the goods from the .hack series. The site currently has limited time offers to purchase sets of fan books, material books, and other goods related to .hack's 15th anniversary.
.hack sweater.
Yeah, sure. 15th anniversary with a 20% discount. The .hack fan book set, which would normally contain 4 volumes, may also come with an exclusive 5th volume that is available in limited quantities. You can click on the article for even more info. Yay. It's neat.
It's cool.
Kind of a good thing for collectors and super fans of CyberConnect, but I think we were all hoping on a bit more info on their latest game, so I'm sorry for being greedy, but I digress.
Give me more .hack apparel, please. Next up, Final Fantasy XIV patch 5.4 launches in early December, PS4 version playable on PS5, new information event set for February 2021. New main scenario quest, raid dungeon, trial explorer mode, and more. This is from Saruman Ekamatsu. Square Enix announced an early December release date for Final Fantasy XIV patch 5.4, as well as confirmed backward compatibility support for the PlayStation 4 version on PlayStation 5, and an event in February 2021 where new information will be announced. Patch 5.4 is called Future Rewritten. It has new main scenario quests that follow the grand conclusion of the Shadowbringers story. New raid dungeon called Eden's Promise. An 8-player raid series. Chronicles of a New Era, the Sorrow of Werelit updates. That's a different questline. New trial Emerald weapon. New dungeon Matoya's Relict. Players can tackle this new challenge alongside fellow adventurers or a party of non-player characters using the trust system. New Unreal trial. Blue Mage update. The limited job will receive a number of new updates, including an increased level cap, new blue magic to learn from enemies, new job-specific equipment, and additions to the Blue Mage log. That's awesome. New Explorer mode. This new gameplay mode will allow players to traverse Shadowbringers dungeons without the dangers of enemies in order to take screenshots. Players can also summon both mounts and minions within the dungeons using this mode to further enhance their screenshots. That's also good for like dungeon. Well, it depends. If you have to have the dungeon unlocked already, if you have to have gone through it already, that's different. But if you had it, if you just have to have like the quest for it unlocked and you can go through it in explorer mode first, that's a good way to prep. Because as a tank, as a tank main, that's a pretty good thing to do since you're always in front. Performance action update. Playable instruments have been expanded to include the violin. Triple triad updates. Ishgard restoration update. Yeah, so like they're doing more. They're making more houses. Save the Queen update. New 24 and 48 player large scale battle content and the opportunity to further enhance resistant weapons. Patch 5.35. Fan Festival status update. The North American Fan Fest schedule for November is San Diego. Yeah, all the fan festivals were all canceled. But they're looking at the new dates, location, and methods to host an event. And then there's the February 2021 event. In another timeline, I was able to go to that.
Soon. One day soon. Okay. Next up we have...
But, no, I had a thing to say about the housing market in Final Fantasy XIV is insane. It's like... It's comparable to the... Millennials trying to get a house in Final Fantasy XIV is comparable to trying to get a house in real life. That's how ridiculous it is right now.
Prime real estate, man. Moving on, we have Square Enix trademarks Forspoken and A Hero's Bonds in Japan. This is by Sato for Silicon Era. A couple of trademarks have come from Square Enix in Japan with Forspoken and A Hero's Bonds. Square Enix filed the trademarks for both Forspoken and A Hero's Bonds on September 24th, 2020. The company actually filed a third trademark for Nenkon Kihan on the same date as well. We don't have any clues as to what these trademarks could be, so they can be anything from a new DLC to a brand new title.
I think Forspoken is another Final Fantasy 14 patch, and that a hero's bond is the only thing I think that I can see a hero's bonds being is what's it called? Dragon Quest Adventure of Dai related.
Makes sense.
I could be completely wrong. But just because I've been watching the anime and it's all like, I want to be a hero and blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like it could be related to that. It could be related to Kingdom Hearts technically if you go with the, maybe it's something about Olympus Coliseum and you play as more of the. I'm just spitballing here.
As we'll see with one of the later articles that we'll be discussing, predicting based on trademarks is it can go so many ways. You don't have to worry about it. You'll know soon enough. Because a trademark doesn't have to mean something.
It's always just interesting when you don't know what the context is, like at all. Like with Forspoken and Heroes, that could be like a lot of different things. The thing later is a specific. We at least know the series.
No, but the thing is, when you have a trademark that says nothing, you have a trademark. It can also mean that you have an idea that you have an intent on following through, but it can also fall apart and then the trademark lapses. So the trademark means nothing.
Because Pokemon has trademarked a lot of things that didn't ever really come out.
Yeah, so don't worry.
No other news.
So don't worry your pretty little head. You'll know soon enough. Next up, we have TGS 2020 online tops 31.6 million views. TGS 2021 set for September 30th to October 3rd at Makuhari Messe. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Tokyo Game Show 2020 online was viewed a total of 31.6 million times over the course of its 5-day run from September 23rd to 27th, the Computer Entertainment Suppliers Association announced. Here is a full breakdown, which you can get by clicking on the article. I guess this is great. Physical conventions aren't going to be a thing for a while, so it's nice to see the digital versions are quite healthy in their viewership. So
I kind of hope that even when like the pandemic kind of subsides a bit more, which it will, I know people like to be negative and like, oh, there's never going to be a post-quarantine or post-corona. I'm like, yeah, but there's never been a post-flu when you think about it either. So like, so I mean, like, what I'm trying to say is, anyways, my point was, when physical conventions do come back on a larger scale, I kind of hope that they still have like digital options, like you can still watch panels, like panels are still streamed and stuff. Well, I mean, obviously for some of the bigger conventions they're not going to do that because, you know, they want to have the exclusive reveals and stuff like that, but like they released the stuff online like an hour later anyway.
Well,
so
it's like, a good thing for people who can't attend it physically, say you're disabled or you're not economically able to make the commitment, or you live in a different country. So it's a good thing. I hope they keep it.
All right, so next we have another piece of TGS news. It's TGS Media Awards 2020 public poll won by Genshin Impact. This is by Kite Stenbuck over at Silicon Era. The winners of TGS Media Awards 2020 were announced in Japan on October 9th, 2020. This year's TGS Media Awards was held by 4 major Japanese media outlets, which are Famitsu, Dengeki, 4Gamer, and VJump. In addition to giving their own awards, the group also held a public poll that was open to Japanese Twitter users during the 4 presentation days of Tokyo Game Show 2020, which ran from September 24th to 27th, 2020. The poll determined the Japanese public's most anticipated games that are slated for release on September 24th, 2020 or later. Genshin Impact apparently won people over. Over 6,400 votes were cast on this public poll. The top 15 results were announced as follows: Genshin Impact, Monster Hunter Rise, Project Sekai Colorful Stage featuring Hatsune Miku. At first I was like, what? And then the last part I was like, oh. Devil May Cry Special Edition by Capcom, Resident Evil Village by Capcom, Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin, yeah, Final Fantasy 16, Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, Sakura Revolution, R-Type Final 2, Momotaro Dentetsu, Showa Heisei Reiwa Moteban. I don't know what that is, but okay. Cyberpunk 2077, Nier Replicant, and Dynasty Warriors 9. So yeah, so like I said on the last podcast, Genshin Impact is very popular in Japan.
Yeah. Were you expecting this, or is this a pleasant surprise?
I wasn't expecting it to win, like, I didn't know it was that popular, but, like, I knew it was on the cover of Famitsu, so, like, you know, I expected it to be fairly popular. You gotta also understand that part of it could have won because it was coming out so soon after all those individuals voted. Because otherwise Monster Hunter Rise would have gotten it, I'm sure.
I think it also has to do with it just being or like crossing so many fandoms and what do you call those things again? No, never mind. I'll get back to it.
Audiences.
Yeah, like
audiences.
You have the gacha element. You have the moe-esque character designs with anime cell shading graphics.
Just all the different elements.
You have the Breath of the Wild-esque gameplay loop. So
you have the Tales like something.
Action combat. Yeah. So
yeah,
it just reaches so many different audiences, and it seems to be working. So more power to them.
Yeah.
And from what I can tell, I hope they ease up on the resin currency, so people can have a bit more freedom in exploring or playing the game. So there's that.
Yeah. And speaking of Genshin Impact's next region will arrive in December. This is by Matt Perslow for IGN. Developer MiHoYo will add a new region to Genshin Impact in December. This will be the second of 3 planned updates, with the roadmap planning an update every 6 weeks. Announced on the official Genshin Impact blog, MiHoYo revealed that the game's third region, Dragonspire, will be added in late December, with an estimated arrival date of December 23rd. Dragonspire will be accompanied by a related event. Before that, version 1.1 will add the Unreconciled Stars event, and is expected to arrive on November 11th. Following both of these is version 1.3, which will arrive in February 2021 and add the Lantern Rite event. In future versions, we will combine the unique cultural and calendarial features of in-game regions with dates in the real world to host unique events in Mondstadt and Liyue, explained MiHoYo. Ludi Harpastum and the Windbloom Festival will take place in the game's first region, Mondstadt, while Lantern Rite and the Moonchase Festival will take place in the second region, Liyue. No details have yet been provided as to what in-game activities will be available during these festivals. Alongside the 6-week interval roadmap, MiHoYo has stated that it has intentions for new Genshin Impact characters and a next-generation console version. Alright.
Yeah. Just no Xbox version for now.
More free content. Or more shockingly free content.
Yeah.
Next story is Ninjala Season 3 detailed and dated, and another collab is on the way, and it all kicks off later this month. This is from Ryan Craddock over at Nintendo Life. Gung Ho Online Entertainment has released another dev diary video for Ninjala, sharing the first details of the game's upcoming third season. Season 3 arrives on October 28th, running right through until January 7th. It'll add new weapons, a new stage, and plenty more besides, all of which detailed below. The Crescent Arena is a French-inspired stage that features the new drone monitor, which allows players to locate where drones will spawn. 2 new hammer weapons will be introduced alongside a new gum ninjutsu special and gumshoot. The baiting shark ninjutsu is a trap where players place an unassuming scroll on the ground, and when another player comes near, a shark will jump out and attack them. Full throttle field special allows players to deploy a health regenerating barrier to help protect and heal a wounded ninja. The gum laser gumshoot fires a laser in a straight line and will burn anything between you and the end of the beam. Story mode chapter 2 will follow Bireka and her quest to uncover the truth behind her father's death. Whoa, Ninjala. Players who complete the latest story mode chapter will earn special items for their avatar, and additional items can be unlocked by players who achieve a gold rank on each section of the story. The Kyaru Pamu Ninja Bang Bang Steve Aoki remix collab will run from October 28th until November 25th, and players will be able to purchase the BGM remix to play during battle, Kiari's ninja outfit from her original music video, and a themed dance emote from the specialty shop, cartoon anime episode 4, and a spectator mode.
Alright.
I will check this out when I can.
Alright. Okay, next up we have Xbox Series backward compatibility, detailed auto HDR, higher frame rates, and enhanced visuals on select titles. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Microsoft has detailed backwards compatibility for Xbox One and compatible Xbox 360 and Xbox games on Xbox Series platforms, including auto high dynamic range and higher frame rates and enhanced visuals on select titles. You can click on the article for full details. Basically, it comes down to games from previous generations will get a boost on the current, on the coming generation, I should say. And games that were made pre-HDR will get an auto HDR option on current televisions with HDR alongside your Xbox Series console. And what else? Some games even have double the frame rate. So Fallout 4 had a 30 FPS frame rate on Xbox One S and probably also on One X.
So,
but now it will have...
I don't know if I should say this on the podcast, but I actually, since we're talking about it, I ordered a new TV for next gen.
Okay.
Because I have a problem.
But neither here nor there.
But like, cause my TV's a few years old, and it's like, oh, I want to have 4K, and like, it was a decent deal at Best Buy, and it was just like, well, I'd rather like have, while I'm stuck, not getting to go to events or other stuff, I might as well try to have a better experience while I'm here. So, yeah, new TV's coming. So I'm excited to
is a new TV
use the new consoles with that.
Is a new TV needed? Not necessarily.
I mean, no, not needed for everybody. Well, it's not needed for me, except for my current TV does have a few problems. Yeah. So it's kind of like, well, it's a few years old, and I might as well anyway.
Sure, but if it's an older 1080p TV or kind of a first gen 4K TVs and it's still working fine, you don't need to upgrade it just yet. Yeah. But if you
I already got one myself. No, you're not telling me that. You're just saying
I'm not telling you that. I'm just talking in general. If you want to make use of the 4K HDR capabilities and the 120 frames per second option, you're gonna need one of the more recent TVs. I think GameSpot has a good resource video on YouTube regarding that. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken,
it's also because I also got one because, like, it's like, well, do you know what a 4K TV really looks like? It's like, yes, my brother has one, and every time I use it, I'm like amazed, and I'm like, I should probably get one of these soon.
Yeah. I'm kind of a bit mixed on it. 4K is really great to see, but I'm much.
You don't need one.
Yeah, I'm much more a fan of HDR because the richness it brings to the picture quality.
But don't these TVs have like both?
But yeah, if you're looking for a TV, you can wait till Black Friday probably. But be kind to retailers.
Well, Best Buy was doing their early Black Friday sale, and they said if the price drops before then or by then they'll refund you the difference.
It'll happen.
So that's nice.
Just keep an eye out on Black Friday deals.
So if I get some money back, that would be good.
Moving on, we have PS5 to PS4 backward compatibility, PS4 to PS5 upgrades detailed. And this is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Let's see if the update is all the way down. Okay, cool. The original article states, the PlayStation support website has detailed backwards compatibility for PlayStation 4 games on PlayStation 5, confirming that the overwhelming majority of PlayStation 4 games are playable on the new hardware, with only 10 titles confirmed as not playable. The website also detailed how to upgrade eligible PlayStation 4 games to their PlayStation 5 versions, both on disc and digitally. You can click on the article for a full breakdown on the details. Also for a list of the games that will not make the cut for backwards compatibility as of now.
It was not a lot.
There's also an update. What's the update saying? Oh, and the PlayStation
maybe 10 games.
post has provided a few additional details. So if you want to click on the article or the PlayStation blog post, you'll be set for the coming months.
It was maybe like 10 games you can't play, and none of them were like, oh man.
Yeah, the article lists the games if you're interested to see which they were. If you were a fan of these games, bummer. You have like thousands of other games to play, so you'll be fine. Unless you're that diehard Robinson player. Prayers and thoughts. You'll be fine eventually.
Okay, so having to do with the PS4 and the PS5 stuff, this is from Silicon Era by Jenny Latta. Here's how PS4 to PS5 data transfer works, and I did not know this was a thing. As part of the whole PS4 to PS5 backwards compatibility conversation, Sony issued a PlayStation blog update covering topics that might have come up. One interesting one went over all the PS4 to PS5 data transfer options. Basically, if people are worrying about PS4 to PS5 saves, there will be a number of ways to ensure your old data is getting to a new one. Also, whether or not one save will work in both versions of the game is up to the developer. There are essentially 4 methods someone can use, with 3 of them being free and available to anyone. Here's the list of PS4 to PS5 data transfer option. External storage. If someone has an external drive connected to their PS4, like me, they can transfer files and games on their system to it, then connect it to the PS5 to immediately gain access to and begin using those saves and titles. If someone has LAN cables and both systems within reach of one another, they can then transfer data from the PS4 to PS5 by connecting them. PlayStation Plus. This is the one paid option. People who have uploaded PS4 saves to the cloud can access it on the PS5 after logging into their account. Wi-Fi. If both systems are connected to the internet, you can transfer the data. Sony's explanation didn't note if the 2 systems will have to be connected to the same Wi-Fi network, but this could be a requirement, obviously. So for Monster Hunter World, yeah, good, I can transfer that. At first I thought, when I first read this, I was like, wait, does that mean I can transfer all my digital games from PS4 to PS5 already? No, you gotta keep your PS4 for a little while.
Yeah.
I can't throw my PS4 in the closet because I still have a backlog on there, and we don't know if those things are gonna get ported or what, because it doesn't work the same way as Xbox.
Yeah, so keep your eye out on official channels. More likely that the developer or the publisher will have a more direct answer for your query.
My whole thing, like, who was I was watching, I think I was watching Kind of Funny or something, and they were saying, like, when PS5s come out, like, people are gonna, like, trade in their PS4s or put them in the closet or something, and I'm like, isn't that jumping the gun a bit?
I think they're just exaggerating for dramatic effect. Don't
I
worry.
mean, because, like, this isn't a Wii U to Switch situation.
No, don't worry.
It's just like, well, because I really regretted, trading in my PS3, just because there was a lot of stuff on there that I could have, that isn't available on PS4.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm not, like, I have to keep my PS4 for the time being, because there's still a pretty big backlog on there. And it's not like I can't transfer the games the way you can just, like, re-download them on a new Xbox, you know? At least so far.
You don't have to throw it away immediately. Wait it out.
No.
If you have full confirmation or all the details, then make your decision. But yeah, I'm guessing you'll be fine. Okay, next up we have PlayStation Game Library curates your PS4 and PS5 games. This is by Jenny Lada for Silicon Era. Sony has a new website to help you keep track of your game collection, but there are some limitations. The PlayStation Game Library website is now open, unless you sort through all of the PS4 and PS5 games you own, as well as sort them out according to whether or not you have them as part of a subscription service. PS1 classics, PS2 classics, PS3 games, PSP games, and Vita games are all absent from the catalog. You can click on the article for full details. So I tested this out, I think the day before yesterday. It works, but it's kind of buggy still, so maybe give it a while to settle.
It's just, yeah.
But it's a neat thing to see all your games listed, because previously you had to dig through the settings and go through your game library there.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing they made it easier for you to curate and see what you have in your library and what you have as an active download or what have you. So yeah, it's a nice feature. Okay, next up is all you.
Okay, then today we got the biggest piece of news today was that the PS5 UI first look video. This is from I'm taking this from an article by Saramano over at Gamatsu. Sony Interactive Entertainment has released an 11-minute first look video of PlayStation 5's user experience. It's centered on the player to provide you there's a whole summary. One of the highlights is a new control center, which provides immediate access to almost everything you need from the system at a single press of the PlayStation button on the DualSense wireless controller, all without leaving the game.
Wow.
We've also added a new feature called Activities, designed to bring you closer to the key elements of gameplay. Activities are displayed via on-screen cards in the control center, which enables you to discover new gameplay opportunities, go back to things you missed, jump directly into levels or challenges you want to play, and much more. Some activity cards can be put in picture-in-picture mode, so you can view them without having to leave the game. Navigating the interface, switching between games, and hopping into online matches occurs quickly, as we rebuilt the entire software stack from the console to the network to bring you a truly next-generation experience. We believe the less time you spend waiting to interact with the system, the more time you will have to spend playing games. We wanted to give you an early peek at a part of the PS5 user experience journey in our video walkthrough, so we hope you enjoy the tour. Also keep in mind that this is in a pre-production environment, so there may be some minor changes. I like how the menu for like powering off just kind of pops up really fast, because on my PS4 right now sometimes that can be pretty slow.
Yeah.
Because you have to press the PS button and you have to go in the menu and have to drag it down, but then this you just kind of click a thing and it pops right up.
Yeah. Hopefully it stays that way during the course of its entire life cycle, because we all were pretty impressed with the PlayStation 4 when we just got it, and now look at it. So
yeah, and also at least it won't. Apparently, like the media app buttons are supposed to be like better, because that's kind of been a problem that people didn't like the way the PS4 changed it. Mm-hmm. Like before, the way it was organized was a lot better with the media apps, and then they changed it at a certain update, and it made it kind of weird.
Yeah. I guess
so I'm happy for that too.
Enough. Yeah.
Yeah. See you in November. All right. Next story. Solomon program closed beta test set for early November in Japan. This is once again by Saruman over at Gamatsu. Registration now available. Konami has launched the official website for Solomon program and is currently accepting applications for a month-long closed beta test that will be held in early November. Registration is available here. A brief overview. This is a monster battling game, by the way, that was announced a while back.
That's why you added it. That's why you added it.
Yeah, well, because earlier this week there was a story that said, it has a release window of this winter in Japan. And then this came up, so I just put this one on.
Alright.
So, merge and power up. Power up your monsters with processors obtained in battle. Deep mining. Artificial intelligence getting stronger on its own. Good things come to those who wait. Online battles. Battle against hackers from all around the world. Unleash special moves, too. This is Konami Digimon Battle Network, I guess.
Sounds like it.
I like the art style, though.
Well, there you go.
We have no idea if this will ever get localized or anything.
It's Erroll approved, so make it happen.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
People say, Konami doesn't make games anymore. Yeah, they do. They make that and Yu-Gi-Oh!
So they're okay in your book now.
And Pro Evolution Soccer, but I've never played that.
Oh, Pro Evolution is really fun. I think it's better than FIFA, so come at me. Fight me.
I don't know. I've heard FIFA has not been so great, especially really recently.
If you're on Switch, it's definitely not great. But I'd say I like the technicality of PES more than FIFA, but that's just me.
I'll have to try it at some point. Next story is check out Monster Hunter World Iceborne's least and most haunted monster. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto over at Siliconera. Capcom has announced Monster Hunter World Iceborne's most and least hunted monster. The Xenogre is the most hunted monster, whereas the Brute Tigrex is the least hunted monster. To commemorate the standings of both monsters, 2 unique quests will be added to Iceborne this month. The reveal came through the official Monster Hunter World Iceborne Twitter. This announcement was preceded by a poll that lets users guess from a select list as to which were most and least hunted. As mentioned above, the unique quest will be available this October to celebrate both monsters. Players who participate in the unique Xenogre event will receive copious amounts of Dragon Vein Coal. This event will begin on October 16th, 2020. Conversely, the Brute Tigrex event will reward players with loads of armor spheres. So the least hunted monster gets the better reward. The Brute Tigrex event will begin on October 23rd, 2020. No end date was mentioned regarding either series of quests. However, players will receive tickets for layered armor as an additional reward for participation. Unlike the previous most and least hunted list that was released in May of 2020, Capcom aggregated this data throughout Iceborne's lifespan. Previously, the Xenogre and Brute Tigrex took second place on each of their respective lists. So yeah, we get more Monster Hunter events. I believe the Harvest Festival event starts either today or tomorrow.
I think you can also look forward to there being a tie-in with the movie, so keep an eye out for that.
I think Ryza is going to have the tie-in with the movie, not World.
We'll see. We'll see about that. Let's see. Next up, to close out the news rundown until we get back to the main topic, Bandai Namco trademarks Tales of Luminaria in Europe. This is by Sal Romano for Komatsu.
Dun.
Bandai Namco filed a trademark for Tales of Luminaria in Europe on October 13th. The trademark does not belong to any announced Tales of a game. Bandai Namco is currently working on Tales of Arise for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, which was delayed past 2020 back in June. Outside of the console Tales of games, Bandai Namco operates multiple mobile Tales games, including the July launch Tales of Crestoria and Tales of the Rays. So this broke kind of late last night, early in the morning for me. And yeah, I don't know what to make of it just yet. My gut is telling me that this might be a Switch exclusive Tales game because Bandai Namco has a really good partnership with Nintendo going on. And the Tales game are kind of underrepresented on the Switch. You only have Tales of Vesperia, which is odd because, come on now. Put Symphonia on it and it'll sell like hotcakes. And we still have no other way of playing Exilia, Graces, Abyss.
A lot of the older ones.
A lot of the older ones if you don't have like older consoles. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe
it's either that or like you said when we were talking about it before, that it's maybe a Tales of Arise name change.
It could be that, but I counted.
But I feel like they would have announced that if that was the case.
Yeah, sure, but I also counted the entries in the main series, and it's almost a 50-50 split, like 10 with games ending in ia, and 8 games ending with like a proper noun of something.
Whatever
so
else.
I don't think it'd be a name change. Another possibility was a mobile game, but they already have 2 or 3 mobile games currently. So having another one added to that mix, I mean, it's possible, but I think it's unlikely. My gut is
if it was just trademarked in Europe, we'll probably hear about it rather soon, I'm guessing.
It could be. Maybe it is a name change, but then only for Europe. So Tales of Arise in Europe would be...
For whatever reason.
Tales of Luminaria. Maybe they couldn't clear the Arise name for Europe only, and thus the name change there. But yeah, it's a trademark. You can speculate all day and you still won't be any nearer to the truth. So I'm just keeping an eye out on this. I'm super interested in seeing how it turns out. But yeah, that's all we have for now.
Yeah, so now moving on to the main topic. Level-5 has virtually halted operations in North America. This was a pretty big story on Monday, especially if you're a Level-5 fan like me. This is by Rebecca Valentine over at gamesindustry.biz. Ni no Kuni and Yokai Watch developer Level-5 appears to have all but shuttered its North American operations. According to multiple sources familiar with the matter, both Level-5 International America and the company's spin-off office, Level-5 Abbey, began winding down operations in the middle of last year, part of which included laying off the majority of both offices' staff. The precise number of people impacted is unknown, as is the number of employees still currently in each office, but sources estimate around 10 employees were laid off at Abbey in August of 2019. And around the same number were let go at International America. Sources say that no clear reason for the layoffs was given, though those connected to Abbey say that employees were given every indication that the studio would be closing down, with 1 or 2 employees remaining for a few more months to carry out essential functions throughout the process while the company consolidated its business between the Japan office and international advertising and branding company Dentsu. Additionally, Level-5 Abbey COO and head of Abbey's day-to-day operations, Yukari Hayakawa, is said to have departed the company earlier this year, according to multiple sources, though the job is still listed on her LinkedIn page. Attempts to contact Hayakawa for comment went unanswered. In July of 2019, Level-5 International America confirmed it was closing its design department, laying off 2 employees, though at the time the company said this was not a large-scale restructuring. It is unclear what the future of Level 5 releases in North America will be. One source suggested that there were currently no concrete plans for any more Level 5 games to be released outside of Japan. Publicly, the company has not made any specific announcements for future North American game releases. A Western localization for Yokai Watch 4, which launched in Japan in 2019, was announced that same year, but thus far there have been no further details. And while upcoming Level 5 developed and published RPG Inazuma 11 Great Road of Heroes was most recently delayed to 2021 in Japan, and there has been nothing concrete on a Western release since 2018 prior to multiple delays. The most recent title from the company to be released in North America was Snack World: The Dungeon Crawl Gold in February of this year. Prior to that, it was Yokai Watch 3 in February of 2019. The company's social media accounts have been almost entirely silent since multiple job postings from October 2018, with the only update being a July 2020 announcement that a compatibility bug in 2013's Layton Brothers Mystery Room had been fixed. GamesIndustry.biz reached out to Level 5 International America and Abby by both email and phone, as well as the company's Japanese headquarters by email, and received no reply from any official channels. Also, I provided some additional info on this.
Yeah.
So, I wrote a... Hold on, I need to find it real quick. Real quick.
Yeah. Well, Erroll does that.
There it is. Okay, I got it.
Okay. I don't have to vamp then.
So, I added in mine that, so, while the Level 5 Twitter account was dormant for nearly 2 years, interesting enough, the Yokai Watch Twitter was active throughout 2019, giving out QR codes for specific items and yokai for Yokai Watch 3 and to promote the anime series. The Snack World Twitter was active until June 30th, giving out item passwords and promoting the game. And then Sega localization producer and former Level 5 International America Incorporated product manager Scott Strichart said on Twitter, most of Level 5's greatest games were published by third parties or Nintendo themselves, and they don't need a US office to continue licensing their content that way. They can still localize in-house from Japan, which was where the majority of that happened anyway. The US office is more or less stopped directly localizing content after I left, taking on more of an advise and assist role across its multimedia productions and games. And then regarding Yokai Watch 4, sorry, I'm almost done. I said previously the 3 separate Japanese versions of Yokai Watch 3 were combined into one for the Western release, and since Yokai Watch 4 had received an updated version as well as a PS4 port known as Yokai Watch 4++ in Japan several months after the release of the original, it may have had an impact on localization efforts, but nothing has yet been confirmed. Oh, God.
Well, you didn't have to read everything.
I wanted to because it's important.
Well, on the one hand, as you said, they don't need the American offices to publish their games in the Western regions, which is great. Kind of sucks for people who... Well, it doesn't kind of suck. It really sucks for people who lost their jobs during this transition. So, best wishes go out to them, and I hope they land on their feet. It kind of this all gives me late Telltale vibes before they shuttered, where they took on way more than they could, trying to keep themselves afloat, never really settling on a direction.
Well, that's more of Level 5 Japan, I feel like.
Yeah, it's definitely Level 5 Japan's, I don't want to say fault, but it's their direction that set out how the Western branch would follow. So if Japan is having troubles, then it stands to reason that everyone else under them would be having troubles. So I think this is just them restructuring.
Yeah. it's also interesting to note that it said that it's in North America specifically, and there's no news about European releases, because Europe has gotten a handful of level 5 games that have not been released in the US or North America.
Yeah. Rather. They did say it's unclear whether or not any new games will be making their ways outside of Japan, which is a bummer, because when level 5 is on target, they can be so good and create some really compelling games like Ni no Kuni. But then they go all out and try to make a media franchise out of everything, and then I think that's where the problem starts.
It's like they're trying to repeat that success of Yokai Watch, but Yokai Watch was like lightning in a bottle, and it didn't have the staying power that Pokemon has.
Yeah,
so like they're not gonna be able to recapture that, but they keep trying to.
Though Japan is way more forgiving with that kind of games. Like the Monster Collection, Monster Tamer genre. It's way more prevalent in Japan. Like you have Yu-Gi-Oh and you have card. Was it Vanguard card? What's it called?
Oh, card fight Vanguard. Yeah.
Yeah, you have that one. You have
Super
Duel Masters.
Card Buddy Fight.
Yeah,
and Duel Masters and Digimon and Pokemon, and
you can have multiples in one genre. In the West, it's not really a thing, because there's only so much mind share and market share to go around, and once it settles on one property, it's kind of too stubborn to bend to anything else.
It's fascinating, because when Yokai Watch first came out here, I felt like there wasn't that big of a push for it, but you did see. You could like buy a handful of merch at like Target.
Yeah, the thing I think they underestimated was there are already European, Canadian, and American properties also fighting for that same market, and then you have Pokemon, who kind of eclipses everyone. And not even to mention Disney with Marvel and Star Wars.
Speaking of which, I think one of the problems. So. The thing with level 5 is that, like, I feel like sometimes they get way too ambitious. And it's a good thing you mentioned Disney, because Akihiro Hino once, like, he has a quote where, like, from an interview where he said he wanted level 5 to have, like, the same, like, a similar level of recognition that Disney has. And I'm like, that's not gonna happen.
I mean, it can still happen.
But that's why they focus on the multimedia aspect so much. But that's where the problem is, because they should be focusing on the games more.
No, it's not impossible to have a very beloved franchise or multimedia empire, but you can't just say, I want to conquer Rome and Rome will be conquered. You actually have to put in the work of conquering Rome.
Yeah.
So,
and like they spread themselves too thin, like you said. They're working on like several different things right now.
But that's emblematic of Japan, because when you bring out a property, it's not just going to be that property. You're also going to have merchandising, clothing, toys, Happy Meal.
Yeah, but that's not every. But the thing is, but the problem with that is that's not every. That's not every video game series.
In Japan, it might be.
Well, because I can understand that most level 5 games are marketed towards younger audiences, so that makes sense.
I'm not just talking about level 5. I'm talking about, like for instance, whenever an anime comes out from a popular manga, they're also gonna merchandise it so that they can have a video game, they can have toys, they can have light novels, they can have food spun out of the media property. They want to make back as much money as possible, and their reasoning is, if I just focus on games, I might not make back that money, but if I spread it into different industries, I might have a bigger return of investment. So it's the same reasoning Level 5 is functioning with. They see that Yokai Watch is...
I think...
Yeah?
I think the problem is Level 5 puts too much faith in making something a multimedia franchise. Like, they don't... Like, I feel like it shouldn't be better... Wouldn't it be better if they made the game first and then gauged the popularity? Because think about how, like, the Inazuma 11 game, it was supposed to coincide with a specific anime series, and then development was still going throughout that anime series, so they're like, okay, well, we're gonna change it to be based on this other anime series, and then development has been taking so long that anime series finished, so now they're saying, so we're not going to base it on any anime series, and so we're just going to have it be its own thing. And I'm like, okay, why didn't you just do that in the first place?
Ideally, you'd only have the one property to focus on, and then you'd be fine. Yeah. But you're operating under the idea that you might not make back all your money from that one media product. So that's why you're branching out in different industries, in different genres, to make back that money. Not every company has the financial backing of a Nintendo or a Sony or a Microsoft that they don't have to worry about the bottom end or the bottom line. Level 5 and other media companies in Japan do have that worry, where they don't think that just having the video game is enough. It's the same with Shonen Jump and adapting a manga into an anime. They don't think that anime is gonna be enough. They want that merchandise. Partly because they want to dominate the market, and partly because they just want to make that money back. Because producing a media property or a media product costs a lot. And game development is not cheap. Paying staff is not cheap. So this is a thing you're going to keep running into unless you can say with confidence, you know what, I don't want to be the next Disney. I just want to make a good game, have that speak for itself. If it grows into something bigger, we'll see. I think
that's a better approach.
But you also have a dream to make more, to create more. And you don't want to just be pigeonholed into just video games. Like, I can understand the drive of Level 5 to say, you know what? This thing that we have as a video game would also be cool as an anime. Or I can just imagine having Inazuma 11 toys from this series, or Yokai Watch toys.
They have them.
No, I know. I'm just kind of visualizing their thought process. So
I know what's interesting. We only got one Inazuma 11 game here, right? But we got several anime dubs somehow.
Yeah. I think it's an easier sell to have an anime that's kind of bombastic and based on a sport that the market understands, rather than having a soccer RPG with anime aesthetics. That's kind of a tougher sell in the West. So I think that's what they're operating on. I know, but I'm not saying it's...
Like I said... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you can finish what you were saying first.
No, it's... I was going to say, we don't know... you never know what you can expect from a given audience. Your home court advantage speaks for itself, because you have the data, you have the experience, but you don't know how the West will react to any given product. But that's what I wanted to say.
But like I said, I feel like the problem is that Level 5's like take out the, let's say, like, okay, like you say, having the multimedia aspect is just a general goal. I think the problem is they keep trying to hit the success they had with Yokai Watch at the height of its popularity in Japan, which was Yokai Watch 2. But it's just like, none of their properties none of their properties after Yokai Watch have hit even near that level, because Snack World came out, had an anime, didn't really do that much. Surprisingly, Ni no Kuni, I was reading this chart of it was level 5 game sales by millions, and Ni no Kuni didn't sell that well in Japan compared to some of Level 5's other series.
Well,
and that's even taking into account there's a DS version in Japan too.
Yeah.
It's like half of, because Wrath of the White Witch is an expanded thing.
Yeah, I know, but I wanted to say the love that the West has for Studio Ghibli movies is probably not the same as what Japan has for Studio Ghibli movies. Like how Hiro Mashima manga and anime is far more popular in the West than in Japan itself. It's a tricky thing. You never know what the market wants. You can never predict accurately what the market wants. It's always going to be a gamble, and that's why you always adjust to what works and what has worked previously. Yeah.
And this whole thing is kind of hard because there's so much information we don't know about Level 5, whether that be, in Japan or abroad. And so we know some of the situation now because of that report, but otherwise, they're hard to get in contact with. I know that from personal experience.
Yeah, Japanese companies are very secretive, and it's apparent that Level 5 is probably the most secretive of Japanese companies. Yeah.
Well, besides Nintendo. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to see any Level 5 ninjas coming to get you.
But, it's unfortunate. I hope they can recoup and come back stronger than ever. I
really hope it doesn't mean that we don't get any more Level 5 games in the West, because that English localization for Yokai Watch 4, how far was it? There are rumors that it wasn't very far at all.
It was probably still in the planning stages.
Those are rumors, and like I said, we don't know if the update came out and they were oh man, well, now we have to do that.
I think with Level 5 having such a good relationship with Nintendo and Bandai Namco, that we don't really have to worry that much for their bigger releases. Let's say a Ni no Kuni 3 comes out. I think there'll be enough fan demand in the West that Bandai Namco will say, you know what, we're gonna publish it here. I'm not so sure. I don't think there's gonna be a Yokai Watch 5. To be perfectly honest. Maybe in Japan, but not in the West. Monster Tamer games. I just mean in general,
because I don't think Yokai Watch 4 did that well in Japan anyway.
Yeah. Well,
which is unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, and we hope Level 5 lands back on their feet. That they can return to form and come back stronger than ever. We're rooting.
And also, you got to remember, Level 5, they were their strongest back in the PS2 days when they did Dark Cloud and Dark Cloud 2 and Rogue Galaxy, and helped with Dragon Quest 8 and 9. And they might be helping with a potential Dragon Quest 9 remake for Switch. But we don't know. And also, even if they're not, remember, Square Enix probably has that covered. So you don't have to worry about that.
Time will tell.
But yeah, we do hope Level 5 gets back to their improves, because this is really unfortunate news.
Well, also, fingers crossed.
I forgot to mention earlier, remember, there are a lot of Level 5 crossovers in various games. There's the different Level 5 carts in Everybody's Golf. There's the Yokai Watch event in Final Fantasy XIV, which will be going until 5.4 is out. And for some mobile game, I think it was a Yokai mobile game, there was a Yokai Watch and Kamen Rider crossover, which that it has me written all over it. But yeah, I don't know. It was just a story I really wasn't expecting on Monday. Whenever there's level 5 related news, I have like a sixth sense for these things. I tend to wake up super early. So whenever like a Yokai Watch thing is announced.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. Anyways, we actually have some listener questions this week. Not about level 5. More about something in our recommended content. So we're going to move to that. So we got our friend Monti Velez from Uppercut Crit. You can go check her workout over at the Uppercut Crit website. What do you think about the battle system changes to match... Oh, this is for Yakuza 7. To match more with a JRPG rather than the GTA-like beat-em-up style fighting. This is a super new and something even Toshihiro was nervous about. Would love to hear what y'all think. If you listen to this podcast, you guys know what I think. I am down with it. The turn-based RPG looks great. Looking at the previews, it makes me even more excited. Yeah, because it has that it has a little bit of they obviously threw in a little bit of that Persona flair to the menus.
Yeah.
And then there's still it's not all just turn-based. There are small little timing things, as some turn-based RPGs do. And I am more excited for it than ever.
I'd like to say I'm totally for it. I don't know how it plays. I haven't had any hands-on time. From all accounts, it seems to be very fun and very refreshing because we're now 7 games in, and I think if they had their traditional action combat again for the 7th time, no matter how it would have been iterated upon, I think people would have kind of be bored with it, because it's 7 games of more or less the same in a quick succession behind each other.
Yeah.
So having something that's fresh and exciting and new and kind of out there, which is totally in line with the spirit of Yakuza games. So yeah, I'm all for it. I can't wait to play it. I'll probably finish the first games in the saga before I dive into this.
I might try to. I will attempt to finish Yakuza 0 before 7, but other than that, I'm going in pretty much blind. Ish.
Oh yeah.
And then we have one more question. It's just more of a silly question from O'Shea. Do you think Ichiban can kick Kiryu-Chan's butt? Who are we kidding? No one can beat the Dragon of Dojima. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we'll know in a future game. Who knows? Maybe Kiryu-Chan will be a secret boss in Yakuza 8. I don't know.
Is it possible? I don't know. I mean, weirder stuff has happened in the Yakuza series, so
true.
Maybe there's a scenario where Ichiban beats Kiryu, so I really couldn't say, but it's interesting stuff for the future.
All right, so I think that's it for this week. Yeah. As always, stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask, play video games. Thank you for listening. And
we'll be back next week.
Yep.
With new stories, new questions. This has been Erroll.
Hopefully new questions.
Jason. Yeah. And we're signing off for this week. So good night and good luck.
Matane.